And welcome to Houston Newsmakers Extra. We've been talking with Emily Dawn Whitehurst and Leticia Manzano from the Houston Area Women's Center. And I want to make sure you know that it's not 40 years, it's 45 years. So if you're watching the program, you notice I said, okay, 45 years. It's amazing how long that's been able to go and make an impact in people's lives. Talk about some of the ways you're celebrating this anniversary day.
Well, this month in April, we have a wonderful event with Evelyn Yang, published author, sexual assault survivor, and wife of Andrew Yang, presidential candidate. She's going to come and be our keynote speaker. It's April 6th, and it is an opportunity for us to celebrate survivors, celebrate their courage. We're selling tickets on our website, www.hawk.org, hawc.org, and it really is going to be an excellent time to come together. We're gathering together again, you know, after COVID, and to listen to a very powerful testimony about her story, and to really support the services that Hawk provides to survivors that are desperately needed.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that in the program as well. Leticia, since you are on the front lines or you see people coming in, are there challenges with, and we talked about the fact that so few people report the assaults.
Yes.
What is the challenge with trying to understand and get women to understand that when they say this, that they can be believed, that they're so concerned about not being believed? And is there an alternate concern about women who may take advantage of our concerns and may scream that there's a rape or an assault when there may not be?
In my experience, I haven't had anyone make an allegation that was not true. This is my experience. The statistics say less than 2%. Less than 2% of women who disclose are found to not be believable by law enforcement. The challenges lie in that it is very public information that only 25 people will get incarcerated. And so many survivors think, why would I put myself through? Why would I put myself through going to the police, being asked a lot of questions, being asked to give evidence to what happened, the case not being taken up by the district attorney's office, and then if it is, going to court, having to tell my story publicly, so many things.
And Kimbrel, if I may add, you know, I think sometimes we forget how many of those in the 1,000 are children. And the Houston Area Women's Center has a specialized program for child survivors of assault. And we work with children who are going to be asked to testify in court. And, you know, that is a very difficult process. So we may have ideas about who victims are, and those ideas may be very skewed as to who is actually being victimized and what's actually happening. And again, don't forget, oftentimes, most time, the perpetrators are people that people know. So it is a real challenge. You have to have extraordinary courage and support to tell the story and to see it through.
And I brought this whole topic up because of what has happened in the Deshaun Watson case, where there were 22 separate women who came forward, and Attorney Busby is representing them. And there are a lot of people who say, oh, come on, that can't be true. And I brought that up because of the percentage of people you say, when they come forward, there's a lot that's on the line when somebody comes forward just to say something like that, and clearly would not seem to be worth a paycheck when everything else is so much in line and very detrimental to their lives, possibly.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's important about cases, high-profile cases, you know, whoever it is that the public will think there's so many false allegations. It leads to a belief of, again, victim blaming. Just because a case didn't move forward doesn't mean it didn't happen. I think, you know, the evidence is always a big thing. And so one of the changes that we want to make is that consent is taken into account here. It's not the physical evidence. So many survivors don't go to the hospital immediately after a sexual assault to get the forensic evidence. So the majority do not do that. And so I know that in our county, that's one of the things that the district attorney looks for. Is there that physical evidence? It's not just the testimony. But I think that that's something that we need to change, not just in Harris County, but in our society.
And what I really am impressed with the Houston Area Women's Center about so many things, in fact. But not only are you there to help women who are either sexually or domestic abuse, domestic violence abuse as well, but advocating on behalf of all of those who don't have a voice to advocate for themselves.
Yes, advocacy is a huge component, and what I think is so wonderful about our approach to advocacy, it is really driven by the experience of survivors. So it's not just generalized activism, it's an advocacy that's born out of the lived experiences of the suffering that we're encountering and trying to alleviate, and then we see the barriers. We walk this journey with survivors, and we encounter alongside them the barriers that they're experiencing. You know, I can't report because of this, whether it's transportation, whether it's jobs, whether it's childcare, whether it's, you know, an expectation that I have gone and gotten forensic evidence even though obviously this happened. You know, those are the kinds of things that we pay attention to, that we attend to, and that we aggregate into policy recommendations.
Are you ever angry about the realization that women as a class, in this case, sometimes seem to be not given the priority that they should be given within our legal system, it seems sometimes?
I think there is no doubt that this is largely a gendered crime. However, what I wonder is to whether or not, if we really understood the scope of this better and we knew that men are victims, we probably have no idea how often men, whether they be boys or adults, are victimized. Children, I don't think we think about it as often as a comprehensive problem. The scope of sexual assault, which just means unwanted sexual touch, conduct, attention, it is so pervasive. We are a culture that does not understand what it means to say, my body is mine, and you don't have a right to touch it if I don't want you to. We don't know how to manage that in our culture, and until we do that, it's gonna happen to women, it's gonna happen to men, it's gonna happen to children, and that's what we've got to figure out how to do. And it's gonna have to have a legal component, but it's gonna have to have an education component, a cultural component, and women will definitely be on the front lines. We will definitely be the primary victims, but we're not the only victims.
Well, you guys are amazing. I've said that about your organization, and I've now used one of my heroes too, about what you do. What would you want the community to do to help you and your organization continue to thrive and grow and do what you need to get done?
Believe survivors. Believe survivors. And please, like Letty said, don't think just because something doesn't come to conviction, it didn't happen. Don't think there's just a bunch of women lying just to get attention. That is a terrible conclusion to draw. Support the Houston Area Women's Center. Come to our event on April 6th and learn about this. And you know somebody who's been assaulted. If you haven't, you know somebody. It's your friends, your family. So please, really make sure that people in your life know they do not have to be touched if they don't want to be touched.
Good information. Thank you so much. This is Houston Newsmakers Extra. This is a segment that you must share with everybody you know. Thank you.